Hello there. Welcome to What the Dog Podcast, where we talk about what your dog's doing, why they're doing it, and can we fix it? My name is Katie. I am the owner and trainer here at For Pete's Sake Dog Training, and I am glad you are with me on this dog owning journey. Today, we are going to talk about toy breed dogs. And I've started talking about different breed groups of dogs here on the podcast. Sometimes it'll be, what behaviors do we need, health things. So this episode is all about getting to know your toy breed dog and anything that you might need to know whether you're going to adopt a toy breed or you have a toy breed dog. Now, what do I mean by toy breeds? So in general, I'm going to say small breed dogs. So like Yorkies, Maltese, Shih Tzus, Japanese Chin, Pugs. I'd even put like your French Bulldogs in this group as well. Granted, I'm not going like AKC actual toy breed group. I just kind of mean small dogs at this point. Pomeranians, others are just kind of like coming in my head. Papillons, Min Pins. So we may have these dogs may technically be in like terrier groups or other groups. I'm talking small breed dogs, toy group, toy dogs, right? Anything that's generally below, I'd say 18 pounds or less, maybe 20. We might have some small dogs that are a little overweight here if we're going to be completely honest about that. So when we're talking about small dogs, obviously size is a big thing we need to consider. They can be delicate. If you are someone who trips a lot, if maybe you're a little older and you're worried about tripping hazards, toy breeds might not be the best for you. Also, they're a lot closer to the ground, so if you're not able to bend down and pick those dogs up, may not be the best option for you. I will say, if there's one thing that I find myself all the time with small dogs, they're under my feet all the time and I can't see them. So size can be an issue, and also just generally their structure of their size. So their bones, let's say, they can be a little extra prone to injuries because their bones are not as thick and as sturdy as some of our other dogs. So if you have children or larger dogs, your smaller dogs could be at risk of having injury because of other beings in your household. Or even as something as simple as jumping off the couch isn't going to be the same for a small dog as it is a large dog. Going off of kind of the size as well, we may need to also buy extra things for our dogs because of their small size. If we want our dogs to be able to get on the couch with us or in bed with us, we may need to buy them stairs, right? If we have a tall deck with already a lot of stairs and our dogs get a little older, and this also could go for bigger dogs, but we may need to transvert stairs into a ramp, let's say. We may need to keep our grass mow shorter. We may need to shovel the snow a little bit more. So there are a lot of things just by pure the size of toy breeds that we do need to consider. But honestly, between tripping risks and a little bit more fragile body parts, that tends to be kind of the top two when I think about just their body structure. With that, because of their health concerns, the other thing that always comes to my mind first with small breed dogs are their dental care. And small dogs are higher prone to dental disease than larger dogs are. I know it may seem like, oh, well, a smaller dog has smaller teeth and it's all the same size, but it's not. Smaller dogs, their teeth tend to be more cramped in the jaw than larger dogs are. Even though, yes, their teeth are smaller, their jaws are smaller, but they do seem to be more cramped, so there's less space. So they get a lot of tartar buildup a lot faster than bigger dogs do. And that can lead to dental disease, infections, abscess, all these things. So that's something you should be talking to your veterinarian about, is how often your dog should be getting a professional dental cleaning. The reason why I want you to talk to your vet about that is because every dog is different. And some of us may be doing some dental preventative care or just general care at home for our dogs, which will help space those professional dental cleanings out a little farther. But it is something I would say most vets are going to tell you every year to every couple of years, depending on your dog, that you should be getting a dental cleaning. And some things that we might be able to do at home is obviously teeth brushing. Get a toothpaste that's enzymatic. Those enzymes are going to actually do a lot of the breakdown for you versus like the toothbrush. But you may get like a normal looking toothbrush or a finger toothbrush. You may also be able to have different chews. So chewing that up and down motion helps grind against the teeth and kind of is a way to have your dogs naturally brush their teeth. So chewing on different appropriate bones. I'll say appropriate bones. I'm not going to go into what are appropriate bones or not because I have my opinions, but chewing on safe and appropriate bones will definitely help with that tartar buildup. Having, like I said, the teeth brushing, there are dental specific chews. Again, I would talk to your vet. Let me find my phone. There's actually on products when you go to the pet shop, wherever you like to buy your treats and other things, there are products that have a certification on them. And I know I took a picture of this. And I want to make sure that I have the right letters because I'll be honest with you guys, my brain is a little backwards when it comes to letters. I'm not going to say dyslexic, but, I'm literally zipping. Oh, here we go. Yep, it's right here. Okay, VOHC, Veterinarian Oral Healthcare. Is that what that means? Veterinary Oral Health Council. So if it's certified VOHC, that means the Veterinary Oral Health Council has dictated it safe and a good product to use for your dog cleaning. So that's something that I look for when I'm at the store for any dental specific chews. There are also dental wipes. There are additives that you can put in your dog's water that can help. So there are a lot of things that we could be doing at home. But anything that involves kind of chewing and brushing their teeth, or both of those, are going to be great things that you can work on. So like I said, you want to make sure that you are talking to your vet about your dog specifically and how often you should be doing that cleaning, because dental disease can be pretty bad and sometimes it can be lethal, especially when we're getting abscesses and infections in the mouth, because those can spread to other areas in our head, which is not great. So dental disease is no joke, to be honest, and you really should be taking that pretty fiercely when you have a small dog. So outside of their health needs, like outside of that, it's going to be pretty much based on maybe the breed and also the individual. Any knee issues, you don't really see as many knee and hip issues in the small dogs. You see more like broken bones, to be honest, but you may have some respiratory issues in your French bulldogs and Bostons with that squishy face. We call that brachycephalic. Like that's something that you need to consider with them. I know they're technically not toys. They're a little bigger. They're going to weigh a little bit more, but still, that's something you want to consider, just making sure you're getting everything checked out with your vet. So for the most part, that's about all I really have for their medical and health needs. I do want to talk about too some of their training and exercise needs. As small dogs, I will admit that I see that they, quote, get away with things a lot more than big dogs do. So a lot of the times people think, oh, I have a big dog, it needs exercise all the time. I have a little dog, it doesn't need exercise all the time. Wrong. Little dogs need regular exercise too. They may not need as long as big dogs because they are so little, but they do need regular exercise. Keeping them to a routine is very important. They may not need to go on miles for a walk. but a little scoop around the park isn't a bad idea. Plus, when you get them out of your house or your apartment, wherever you're at, that will help with socialization and mental stimulation, which is incredibly valuable for all dogs. And another misconception outside of my small dog doesn't need exercise is that training and socialization, a lot of small dogs get away with being reactive. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of times we just call them yappy, or they're just barking. They're small enough that they can't do any damage, so we really don't take it seriously. And that's honestly a big issue. The same things that are going on in my 60-pound pit mix's brain when he's reactive, the same mental struggles are going on in your small dog. I'm seeking, well, I'm going to get training for my big dog because it's more like, probably the reason why is because more people see that big dog as being potentially aggressive and a threat to their health so they don't get injured, right? Again, you think, oh, a small dog, yeah, if it bites me, it's not going to hurt as much, no big deal. But again, it's the same mental problem that's going on. We just tend to ignore it a little bit more in our small dogs than our big dogs. So small dogs need just as much socialization, sorry, I'm slurring my words a little bit already today. This is something that should be happening early on, I talk about that in my socialization webinar, and I don't know if I have a podcast on that yet, but you can go to my Patreon page to see all my webinars. But it is very important to socialize our small dogs too. People, sounds, dogs, smells, sights, all of it, right? And if we do have a small dog that is being reactive, we need to seek training help with that. And again, just because they're small doesn't mean that it's any different. It's all the same. It doesn't matter the size of the dog. And a small dog can bite somebody and barely break skin, but if they break skin, you have the same rules as a big dog on legalities of that if they bite somebody. So it is important that you take reactivity in your small dog seriously, because we want to make sure that everybody stays safe, including your dog, because we don't want them biting anybody, right? With that, with training, a lot of the times I'm going to use like fear-free, reward-based training methods. And with my small dogs, one thing I do have to be considerate of is their intake of food. So it is very common for us to think, oh, reward-based training, you have to use treats. Not always. I have a couple small dogs. They are litter mates, and they are reactive out the window. They are reactive in their backyard when they go camping. And one of them is pretty sensitive to food. And so we've had to adjust how we reward in our training process. And they absolutely love attention from their owners. They love the baby talk. They love being held. So we use that. We use that as their reward for watching and looking at things that they're reactive to. So their nutritional needs are something we need to be considerate of. They do tend to have a little bit more sensitivity to different types of foods and how much they're eating. We don't want them to have any health issues because they're eating too much. On that note, we don't want them to be overweight. Overweight dogs are going to put a lot of pressure on our bones and our joints, and it's going to make us age a lot faster than what we want them to. So looking at their nutritional needs, maybe using some of their kibble, allotment for the day as their training treats is a great thing for us to be able to do as well, to kind of mix that up. But we want to make sure we're just monitoring that and tracking that, especially on our dogs who are very sensitive. Speaking of sensitivities, honestly, little dogs are just sensitive, to be honest. They can also be very sensitive to the temperature. They can get cold a lot faster and warm a lot faster, right? So we need to make sure that they are staying warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and that we're giving them enough water and that we're not letting their poor bodies be subjective to the temperatures outside. A lot of small dogs are wearing, jackets and sweaters. I put clothes on my Pitty because he has no fur, but we want to make sure that we are considerate of that because they can overheat pretty quickly, and they also can get a little too cold pretty quickly as well. And speaking of fur, I was actually just thinking of grooming. This will definitely depend on the dog breed. Some of your like fox terriers and things that are, your min pins, they're not going to need too much grooming. Maybe we have some ear infections and things like that going on, but as for hair grooming, just your, normal brushing that you can take care of at home is totally fine. When we get into more of our like doodle mixes, our King Charles Cavaliers, our Maltese, Shih Tzus, they're going to need regular grooming appointments. So making sure that you have allotted that into your budget for owning a small dog is going to be very important. We want to make sure that their coats are staying nice and clean and not matted, and being able to brush them frequently. So having regular appointments with your groomer is going to be vital for your small dogs. So kind of zip through that. Like I said, I like to keep this pretty short and to the point, but overall, we talked about grooming, dental care, their size. They can have sensitive bones that can easily break, as well as tripping hazards. They do need to exercise. You do need to socialize them, and training is incredibly important for our reactive little dogs. I honestly think more little dogs are reactive than big dogs, but I work more with big dogs than small dogs. So if that tells you anything, it should. Small dogs tend to be reactive, but I do sometimes will say like it's the small dog syndrome, but I mean, it just makes sense. They are a lot smaller, so they have, in a way, they have more to be anxious about. So it makes sense that they're going to be more anxious and more reactive because they are all the way at the ground and we're all the way up here, and life is so big to them. Like I feel like life is just like we're a bunch of dinosaurs to our small dogs, and they're just, this little tiny dude on the ground. So anyway, friends, I'm so glad that you joined me today to talk about small dogs. I'll be on here next talking about another group of dog breeds and what you should really know about them. But in the meantime, if you'd like to talk to me about dog training or any issues you're having, go over to my website. It's www.furpete'sake.training.com. You can schedule a free consultation call with me. I offer in-person training sessions in the Indianola, Des Moines area. I even go to like Sheridan, some other smaller towns around Indianola. And I do offer virtual for anyone who is not close or would like to have maybe a little lower cost of training, or just they don't want people at their house, and that's totally fine, right? Especially after we had COVID 4 years ago, that's very popular. If you're interested in just generally working more with your dog and you want some ideas, head over to my Patreon page. It's a membership. That is patreon.com/furpete'sake. There you're going to find free videos on feeding games, enrichment, webinars that are educational. And then I do post 10-minute training sessions of different behaviors. Usually I try and focus on just a couple each month is what I've been doing lately. And that for those training videos, it's $10 a month for the membership there. Lastly, if you want to follow me on Facebook, go find For Pete's Sake Dog Training and follow me there as I try and post as much information as I can to help you and other pet owners out there. So thank you again for joining me on What the Dog, and I will see you next time.